Hi everyone, welcome to my final project. Today I've brought you two literature works, both WALL-E and The Things They Carried, which we read in class. Everything here is presented by yours truly, Olivia. I'm going to start off with The Things They Carried by Tim O'Brien. The narrator, Tim O'Brien himself, describes the things that these men carried with them during the Vietnam War. Each of them carries something different depending on their priorities. Some of these things are the same between everyone, while some things only one man carries. For example, Henry Dobbins carries extra rations, while Ted Lavender carries marijuana. They carry similar things, like ponchos and rifles and grenades. Depending on position, men can carry other things, like the medic, Rat Kiley, carrying morphine and malaria tablets. The story follows the leader, named Jimmy Cross, who is in love with a lady named Martha who is in college back in the States. He receives letters from Martha signed Love Martha. He knows it may not mean what he wants it to mean, but that doesn't stop him from wanting to believe it. Through the story, we learn that many of his men are killed and shot, and through it all, Cross realizes how much he loves Martha. After spending much time thinking about Martha, he realized that it is wrong for him to have these fantasies and that he is there just to lead the men. The idea behind this short story is to actually tell a story. Many of these themes are brought up within the story. You often hear about death and mortality because they are at war. It is basically inevitable, and all of them are aware that they will die at any point in time. Guilt is another major theme that you see especially with Jimmy Cross. He often feels it about himself and about his men. Along with them, they all carry burdens, and the emotional and physical damage is apparently evident through the battles of war. The emotional damage comes from what is seen and heard at war, and oftentimes comes with the death of a close friend and the distance of a family member. The idea of imperialism is often brought up when talking about Tim O'Brien's stories. In an article, it goes on to talk about how imperialism is brought upon ourselves. If we look at imperialism in this sense, we can better understand why and how this story shows imperialism. The men themselves are the ones choosing to carry certain items, with them leaving behind what they think they do not need. It goes on to show how the mental damage that is brought about by this war and brought upon the men. If we look as if we had never gone to war in Vietnam, then none of these men would ever have had these problems. The themes of a war are never going to change. Mental and physical damage will always be a part of it, and so will death and mortality. This also leads to morality and burdens that can affect the soldiers' everyday lives.
In the hands of one incredible machine. His name is WALL-E. After all these years, he's developed one little glitch. A personality. He's extremely curious. And just a little bit lonely. But all
WALL-E's themes can be fairly evident. To start off, it takes place in a dystopian postmodern world where the humans have left Earth because they have completely destroyed it. The intent of WALL-E was to fix it so that humans could live on the planet again. Instead, we find ourselves traveling to space to meet a highly technological world. A company, by and large, has literally created everything so that the humans can live in space without ever needing to go back to Earth. Therefore, the idea of a single company running everything comes into play. They have no option but to use by and large. The next big thing is technology, and as you can see, technology has taken over everything. From the way they order food to how they get around, there's no point for them to leave their little carts that take them everywhere. With that being said, it makes humans very lazy and often passive consumers that literally do not have to do anything for themselves.
Arrest that robot!
10 seconds to self-destruct. You are now free to move around the cabin.
Just a trim? You look gorgeous.
First of all, congratulations on reaching the end of my video. Just to summarize a few things, both the things they carried and WALL-E could be considered postmodern works based on what they talk about. The things they carried also gives off many ideas of imperialism. As we can see, technology and the small items that we have in our lives can bring a big part on our day-to-day life. Technology in many ways has taken over our lives, from our phones to our computers, and yet sometimes we let the small things control us too.